to Wolf TV. Hey, before we get started the video, remember, hit that subscribe button, like the video, share the video, and comment. We do talk back. Nitty, what's going on with you, my guy?
Hey man, what's going on? What's going on YouTube? We kind of picked back up where I left off from last time, and really trying to give a lot of the youth a option. Like I always tell them, I said, man, I'm not your parent, so I won't, get to preaching at you and all this stuff. But one of the things in there that I have seen dudes actually die from is bullying and not knowing when to pull back when a point has been made of some sort. And one particular case, I can remember a dude, man. Dude was from up New York. Man, he didn't bother nobody, man. He ain't bother nobody, nothing like that. And he pretty much went to commissary to the limit, like every week. We used to, I think the limit was $85. You can go to commissary. And so, I guess people took good care of him or whatever. And so the only time he really came out of his cell, because he was in the same cell, because the way it was down in Justice Correctional Institute, which is known as JCI, um, the longer you've been on the tier, you would be able to get a single cell instead of had to be in the cell with somebody. So really, the only time he ever came out his cell, because he didn't go to the yard, he didn't go to the gym, he didn't go to none of that, right? He just hung in his cell. So only time he really ever came out his cell was to use the microwave. So two dudes, I forget the guy's name and everything, and it's not important to the story anyway. But two dudes decided that they wanted to rob him. Because like I say, he used to go to commissary every week to the limit. And being from New York, back then, you had to be pretty solid to be, recognized as somebody, from New York or especially out of state, right? That's just how it was in, the Maryland and particularly the Baltimore prison system, because that's what you have a lot of. You have a lot of Baltimore guys in the Maryland prison system. It's really predominant, and uh, you have PG County, and some guys they might live in DC, but they got caught out PG County, broke law there, whatever the case may be. So anyway, getting back to the story, they decided to rob this guy, right? I guess coming from New York, and they figure, hey man, he ducking that smoke, so we're gonna go in there and get him, because back then that was really a thing. If you kind of hung in your cell, dudes really they assumed that you were scared, right? So, or you had something, some reason that you wasn't coming out. You might have had a bad charge on you, and like I said in a few episodes before, prison is a pretty evil place, and even the most purest of heart can sometimes be turned in there. So, so one of the things that they decided to rob this guy. So they took all the stuff and all that, robbed him. And so he still didn't come out himself about a week. And I guess the guys thought it was over by this time, right? So he came out the cell and caught one of them walking down the tier. I just so happened to be, kind of sitting up the tier, and this so happened to look that way when it happened. And man, when he hit this guy, when he stabbed the guy, because the guy, I don't know if the guy was talking to somebody in the cells, whatever, but his head was kind of turned. And as he was walking towards, he came out of that cell and hit him. So when he knocked him down, he stood over top of him and was holding. He had like what we used to nickname in prison. We have a really big knife. They used to call it a bone crusher or a bone chipper, right? Because if it hits your bones, it's definitely going to do something to them, right? And they was that sharp and that big. So anyway, he got over top of him and hit him about a good 4 or 5 times, but he was hitting with both hands. But it was like he had snapped because his eyes was like really bulged out his head, and he got kind of like squatted over top of him and hung the knife over his head, and he screamed when he hit him. And man, I'm sitting there tears because when I first seen it, I'm like, okay, let me get the hell away from here. So I started going up, walking up on the top tier, right, to keep from getting caught up. Because I don't think the police even seen it yet. When he hit him, and I'm looking over the tier, he hit him so hard in the chest when he pulled the knife out, you actually seeing a stream of blood come out of his chest, right? And so the dude that was with him that had helped him rob this guy, he was so gone and so crazed that like the record, the guy was in the record, he was out for rent, and the guy was in the record, but the door was locked, and the windows are kind of almost like bulletproof. They kind of shatterproof in the record in record day rooms. So anyway, he's so crazed that he see the other guy and he's actually stabbing the glass on the door, trying to get into the record, right? And I was like, wow, like it was like this dude that really snapped. And what's funny, because I could see down into the record from up on the top tier. And what was funny was that although the door was locked, this same dude that just robbed this dude about a week ago actually sat down there and was standing behind somebody in the record, like in case he was able to get through that glass. And it's that's one of the things that really happened in there, man. Somebody can push you to that point, right? Like where you like, look, I don't care about home. I don't care about ever seeing my children again, my mother, my father, my grandparents, my siblings. I don't care about none of that no more. Somebody can really have you that much enraged in there because it's a constant test. Always. Like school is always in. Excuse me. School is always in, so it's a constant test. And the mind, especially in an emotional state, can only take for so much, right, before it snaps. Like, I done seen guys do stuff as crazy as like strip buck naked in the chow hall and run around the kitchen and then start drawing on tables and stuff like that because their mind had really snapped that much. And surprisingly, it has happened more than once by more than one person. And I say, man, so I know a lot of time, people in society, they might say, well, man, they ain't really, excuse me, they say, man, they ain't really suffering in there. That's probably the worst punishment that could be given to somebody is a life sentence or a number that there's no possible way that you can live this number out. And to see how this guy, he always speak, come out, somebody go, hey man, how you doing? He keep it moving, he goes straight to his cell. He was like really a guy who really minded his business. And to see them push him to that point over time, it really make you ask, and for those who may watch this, it really makes you ask, are you really ready for it? Do you really think that your mind is ready for people to try you in numerous ways day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. Are you really ready for that? It's a tough decision to make. And I can tell you, by the guys who I have seen snap, it ain't that many. So like I say, man, in many cases, you know, I'm not even trying to preach no positivity to you, to be honest. I'm just saying,